The sky above planet Virex 9 was dark and endless. Storms rolled over the mountains like angry waves. Lightning cracked the purple sky. Captain Alara's ship was falling fast. Alarms screamed. Sparks flew from the control panel as she struggled. To keep control, Mayday! This is Alara requesting emergency support. She shouted into the comms, but no one answered. Her small fighter craft hit the ground hard. The metal screeched. A wing snapped off. Smoke filled the cockpit. Then, silence. She woke up minutes later, coughing. Blood trickled from her forehead. Everything hurt, but she was alive. Alara grabbed her emergency bag and opened the hatch. The air outside was cold and thick with mist. Strange glowing plants covered the land. A soft humming sound came from deep within the forest nearby. Her comes. We're dead. The signal was jammed. She was completely alone. At least, she thought she was. Hours passed. She made a small fire near a rock wall for warmth. Her training told her to wait and conserve energy, but something didn't feel right. There was a sound, soft, heavy steps. Something big was moving in the mist. She stood up quickly, her hand on her sidearm. Who's there? She called. No answer. Then she saw it. A huge figure stepped out of the fog. Over 9 feet tall, muscular, covered in dark armor with glowing blue veins running through it. 2 sharp horns curved back from his forehead. His eyes weren't human. They glowed softly, watching her. Alara pointed her gun at him. Stay back. The creature didn't flinch. His voice was deep and calm. I'm too big for you, human. Her heart pounded. She had seen many alien species before, but nothing like him. There was something strange in his voice, not just words, but emotion. Before she could react, he stepped closer. Then, he leaned in slightly and whispered, "Try me." The words froze her. She didn't lower her weapon. But something stopped her from firing. The alien took 1 step back and lifted both hands, showing he meant no harm. "I'm not here to kill you," he said. "Then what do you want?" She demanded, "To see you, to know why you came. To help, if you'll let me." It didn't make sense. Why would a giant alien warrior want to help a human? But then, she noticed something. He was holding something in his hand. A small device. She recognized the markings. It was Earth technology. Human tech. Where did you get that? She asked, now aiming her weapon more carefully. He looked at the device, then at her. "It's yours," he said. "I found it. I've studied you." Her body tensed. "You've what?" "I watched your missions, your battles. I listened to your voice through space. You were strong, braver than others." Now she was angry. "You spied on me?" "No," he said softly. "I admired you." For a moment, silence hung in the air. Then the wind howled again, louder this time. The sky flashed with lightning. The alien turned his head sharply. "We can't stay here," he said. "A storm is coming, one that burns skin and melts bone. Come with me." She didn't trust him, but she also didn't have a choice. They moved fast through the fog. The alien's long legs covered ground quickly. Alara followed, holding her. Sidearm close. Soon they reached a cave. Inside, it was warmer, dry, and strangely peaceful. Crystals glowed from the walls. Alien writing was carved into the stone. The alien removed his armor's helmet. His face was strong, with deep scars, and sharp cheekbones. But his eyes, they weren't cruel. "I am Kale," he said. "Last of my kind." Alara sat by a rock, still watching him carefully. "Why help me?" He was silent for a moment. Then he looked into her eyes. "Because I've seen too many die alone." Later that night, while Kale slept by the entrance, Alara explored the cave quietly. That's when she saw it, a small human data tablet. Her name was on it. Captain Alara, mission logs. Her blood ran cold. She picked it up and opened it. Inside were videos of her, clips from past missions, voice recordings, personal logs. Some of it had been classified. How? She whispered. Behind her, Cale spoke, his voice soft in the darkness. You weren't just a soldier to me. You were something more. The next morning, she woke up suddenly. A strange feeling filled her body, a warmth in her stomach, and a low hum in her ears. Something had changed. Was it a dream? Was it real? She looked at Cale sleeping near the cave mouth. Something deep inside told her. This was only the beginning. A soft pulse filled the cave. It wasn't a sound. It was a feeling. Alara opened her eyes. The fire was low. Shadows danced across the walls. Cale sat silently at the entrance, staring out into the mist. His massive form barely moved, but his back looked tense, like he'd been awake all night. Alara sat up. Her body felt strange, warmer, sharper. Her skin was tingling like it. Remembered something she didn't. She glanced down at her stomach, then quickly looked away. It's nothing, she whispered to herself. But deep inside, she wasn't so sure. Cale finally spoke. His voice was quiet, but full of weight. You were talking in your sleep. Alara stiffened. What did I say? You said, don't leave. She didn't answer. He stood and walked toward her slowly. His eyes met hers. There is something I need to show you, he said. They walked through a narrow tunnel deeper into the cave. The walls were smooth, carved, old. Ancient symbols glowed faintly under the stone dot. At the end of the tunnel was a chamber. Inside, floating above a pedestal, was a glowing sphere. Holograms spun around it. Stars, ships, battle logs. And her face. Alara stepped back. What the hell is this? Cale didn't move. I told you I studied your kind, but not from curiosity. From memory. Memory? She asked. You mean this happened before? Cale nodded slowly. Hundreds of cycles ago, my people made contact with humans, in secret. One survived. The bonding process. What bonding process? Cale paused, then said quietly, merging. Ilara's voice hardened. You mean reproduction? He looked away. It wasn't supposed to happen. The child wasn't supposed to live. A cold chill ran down Alara's spine. I don't want to be part of your science experiment. She snapped. You already are. Cale replied. Silence. Then he reached forward, very gently, and pressed the sphere. A projection appeared. It showed her ship crashing. Her escape. Her landing, from a distance, from his eyes. You were watching me, she said. Her voice shook with anger and fear. I was guarding you, he replied. Not as a soldier. As someone who knew what you might become. Back in the main cave, Alara sat on a rock, staring at the tablet she had found earlier, her own. Mission logs stored in Cale's cave. She didn't know what to believe. Anymore. Cale spoke again from the shadows. My kind were designed as warriors. But some of us evolved. We wanted more than war. We wanted to feel. She turned toward him. And what do you feel now? He stepped into the light. You. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed from outside. The cave shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Cale's eyes flashed. Someone found us. He ran to a console built into the wall, alien tech, fused with human signals. They locked onto the DNA flare, he muttered. Alara raised her weapon. What does that mean? It means your body is already changing. Her mouth went dry. Cale looked at her with something between fear and awe. You're compatible. Alara, that was never supposed to happen. She backed away. You said one human survived before what happened to her. Cale didn't answer. Tell me. She died, he said finally. But the child lived. It was taken by my people, used, studied, feared. Ilara's hands trembled. I'm not going to be a lab rat. Cale took a step forward. You won't be. Not if we leave now. Outside the cave, heavy clouds began to swirl in the sky. Strange pulse shook the earth. Kale opened a hidden compartment in the rock. Weapons, cloaks, strange gear. I wasn't just hiding here, he said. I was preparing. For what? For you, he said simply. For the moment you would crash here. For the moment we'd meet. Ilara stared at him. You knew this would happen? No, he said. But I hoped. He reached for her hand, massive fingers wrapping gently around hers. Whatever is growing inside you, he said softly, is not just alien. It's yours. And it's alive. That night, as they camped in a new cave far from the old one, Ilara sat quietly under a sky full of strange stars. She couldn't sleep. She felt it again, the pulse, inside her. Kale sat nearby, sharpening blade, watching her, protecting. A wind blew gently through the canyon, carrying with it a whisper. Or maybe just her thoughts. This is more than survival now, she thought. This is becoming something I can't undo. Her reflection blinked. But a second too late. She leaned closer. Her eyes looked the same, but there was something behind them now. A light, a glow that wasn't there before. Ilara touched her cheek. Am I still me? She whispered. Behind her, Kale stood silently, watching, waiting. Days had passed since the crash. The two of them, once enemies, now survivors, moved through the rocky hills and dead forests of Virex 9. They were running from the storm, from the signal, from what might be growing inside her. Kale led the way, always a few steps ahead. Strong, quiet, dangerous. Ilara followed, her hand always near her weapon, but she hadn't aimed it at him again since that night. Still, trust didn't come easy. Not with him, not with herself. They found shelter in an abandoned outpost, long forgotten. Rusted machines, broken consoles, and silence filled the space. Kale scanned the area. Safe, for now. Ilara dropped her bag, sat on the floor, and stared at him. You've been watching humans for years, she said. You know everything about us. Our tech, our bodies, our language. Kale looked at her carefully. Not everything. What don't you know? He paused, then said quietly, how to earn your trust. The words surprised her. Ilara turned her head, pretending she didn't hear. But inside something twisted. That night, a beast attacked. 12 legs, razor jaws, camouflaged in the metal walls. Ilara screamed as it lunged, but before it could strike, Kale slammed into it from the side. His blade cut deep, but the creature fought back, hissing and snapping. Ilara didn't freeze. She grabbed her sidearm and fired twice, clean, precise. The beast fell. Blood pooled on the floor, black and steaming. Kale stood, breathing hard. You did well, he said. She stared at the corpse, then at him. So did you. They locked eyes for a moment, longer than they should have, then looked away. Later, by the fire, Ilara cleaned her weapon while Kale fixed his armor. A quiet tension filled the air. Not fear, not hate. Something else. She spoke first. What are we doing, Kale? What is this? He didn't answer right away. Then softly, surviving. That's not what I mean. He looked at her. Really looked. You feel it too, he said. The pull. She shook her head. That's not real. It's biology. Your DNA changing mine. Some alien instinct. Maybe, he said. But I didn't choose you because of biology. Then. Why? His voice dropped to almost a whisper. Because when I first saw you, I didn't feel like a weapon anymore. Ilara stood up suddenly, backing away. This is wrong. You're not human. I'm not, whatever this is becoming. You're afraid. I should be. He stepped forward, slow, careful. You're not afraid of me. You're afraid of what you want. She stared at him, breathing fast. Her mind said run. Her body didn't move. Then, slowly, she reached out, not fully, just enough for him to meet her halfway. Their fingers touched. And for a brief second, time stopped. A sudden ping broke the silence. Kale's eyes widened. He turned to the panel nearby. The screen flashed red. "What is it?" Ilara asked, stepping beside him. "They're close, my people." He looked at her. "They want the child." She froze. "You don't even know if I'm pregnant," she said. "I do," he replied. "I can feel it. Through you." Her legs felt weak. Her heart beat faster. Kale knelt beside her. "You still have time to choose. We can run. Or I leave. They'll take me, not you." Ilara's voice shook. "I don't want you to leave." He looked up at her, surprised, and she added, whispering, "I don't know why, but I don't." Outside, the sky turned red. A ship passed overhead. No sound, just a shadow and a signal. The hunt had begun, but inside that cold metal outpost, something warm was starting to grow, not just in her body, but between two beings from different worlds, bound by fear, and something more dangerous than love. Need. Asterisk. Darkness wasn't just around her anymore. It was inside her. Ilara stood at the edge of a dried river bed under Virex 9's rust-colored sky. Wind whispered across the cracked surface, carrying a strange sound. Not quite a voice. Not quite static. She touched her chest. There it was again, a pulse. Not from her heart. From somewhere deeper. She turned to Kale, who was scanning the horizon with tense eyes. His armor buzzed faintly, reacting to something unseen. "What's wrong?" "With me?" she asked. He didn't answer. "Kale," she repeated, louder. "Tell me." He looked at her, then looked away. "It's starting," he said. Ilara felt it, in her bones, in her blood, in her breath. Like her own body wasn't hers anymore. At first, it had been small things. Her hearing sharper, her skin healing faster. Her dreams more vivid, dreams of stars she'd never seen. Voices she'd never heard. And sometimes a child's. Laughter. Now it was more. Too much. Her veins shimmered faintly under her skin, like light trying to break through. Her fingers trembled even when she stood still. She could sense heat in the ground. Hear echoes through metal. Smell Kale's emotions and something else. Something alive. Inside her. She whispered, almost afraid to say it out loud. "I can feel it growing." Kale didn't move. Ilara stepped forward. "What exactly did you do to me?" "I didn't do anything," he said quietly. "The bond chose you." She scoffed. "That's not science, Kale. That's not how things work." "It is," he said. "In my species, in the old ways. If the body accepts the merge, it changes. I didn't agree to this." "I know," he said. "But your body did." Her chest tightened. She turned away and took a breath, trying to hold on to herself, to logic, to control. But control was fading. Everything was louder now. Faster. Wilder. Kale approached slowly. "I know what it feels like. I've changed too, Ilara. Since you arrived, I hear things I wasn't made to hear. I think about peace, when I was born for war." She looked up at him. "Do you regret it?" His eyes met hers. "No, but I'm afraid of what comes next." That was when the sound came. A sharp, high-pitched frequency cut through the air. Not natural. Not weather. A signal. Ilara flinched, covering her ears. Kale winced too, clutching his head, from the mountains above. Blinking red lights lit up. Sensors, scanners, machines. "They found the DNA spike," Kale said. "They know you've conceived." Her mouth went dry. "You said no human ever survived this." "None did," he said. "But none were like you." She wanted to scream, cry, run, fight, but all she could do was stare at her hands, now glowing faintly. Her nails darkened. Her pulse lit up her wrist. She was becoming something else. Something more. And less. Kale reached into his cloak and pulled out a small curved blade, not to threaten, but to offer. "Your body is changing," he said. "But your will is still your own. If you want to stop it, now's the only time." She looked at the blade. Her fingers curled slowly, but she didn't take it. Instead, She looked up at him. "No," she said. "I survived the crash. I survived this planet. I survived you." Her voice steadied. "I'm not stopping now." Kale's hand lowered. There was something in his expression. Relief? Fear? Maybe both. He turned to the mountain sensors. "We have to move. Fast. They'll send hunters. Yours?" He nodded. "They'll kill me?" "They'll take you," he said. "The child, too. Your body, your DNA, is now a weapon. To them, you're no longer a person." Ilara's grip on her blaster tightened. "Then we fight." Kale stepped beside her. Together. Thunder rumbled above as ships entered the upper atmosphere. Lights blinked across the sky like falling stars. But Ilara didn't look up. She looked forward, because something inside her was no longer human, and it wasn't afraid. The stars above Virex 9 were no longer silent. They blinked, shifted, and then began to fall. Ilara didn't need Kale to explain. She could feel them now, the ships, the minds inside them. Cold, searching, locked on her heartbeat like wolves. Tracking blood through Snowdot, she stood at the edge of the cliff, wind pulling her hair back, her pulse glowing faintly beneath her skin. Kale stood beside her, still and heavy like a stone statue. But even he looked different now, more alert. "More dangerous. They're close," he said. "Too close. How many?" "3 hunter crafts, elite class." "And they're coming for me?" "For what's inside you." For a second, she thought about running. Not away, but toward them. End it all. Give them the fight they wanted. But something inside her refused. It wasn't just survival anymore. She wasn't just Ilara now. She was changing. Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. His touch was warm, strong, too gentle for a warrior. "Don't have to face this alone." She looked at him, eyes sharp. "I'm not alone." They moved fast, packing what little gear they had. Ilara took only her weapon, a cloak, and the strange scanner Kale had built from human tech and alien. Scraps. It pulsed when danger was near. Now it pulsed like a heartbeat. Their path led through narrow stone passages, deep into a canyon only Kale's people knew. But even here, they weren't safe. A sound cracked through the air, sharp, clean, mechanical. Hunter had landed. Kale pulled Ilara behind a wall of black rock. The air trembled as metal boots hit the ground. She peeked around the edge. 3 figures, humanoid, towering, armored in bone-white exosuits, faces hidden behind curved masks with no eyes. Only slits for breathing. They moved like shadows, silent. Purposeful. Kale whispered. "They won't speak. They don't ask. They only take." One of them turned, sniffing the air like a predator. Ilara's body tensed. The child inside her, if it was a child, responded. She felt her body shift. Her breathing slowed. Her blood cooled. Her sight sharpened. Something in her had activated. They couldn't see her. She wasn't sure how, but she knew. Kale noticed too. "You're hiding your signal." "I didn't." "Do it on purpose," he smiled. "Your instincts are changing." She stepped back, looked down at her hands. No glow now, no sound. No pulse. The hunter moved on, but another had broken off, flanking them. Kale gripped his blade. "I'll distract them." "You go." "No," she said. "We do this together." A second later, the wall exploded. Stone shattered. Light flashed. The first hunter was on them in seconds. Kale met him with full force. 2 giants clashing, blades scraping metal, dust rising like fire. Ilara rolled, fired 2 shots at the second hunter. Both missed. The creature spun and hurled a spear. She ducked. It sliced the air above her. She charged. No thinking. Just movement, her blaster gone. Her fists glowing faintly. Now, just enough to burn. She struck the hunter's chest. It stumbled. She kicked the joint behind its knee. It fell. She didn't stop. Not until it was still, breathing heavy. Ilara turned. Kale had finished the first one, crushed and still at his feet. But the third, it wasn't attacking Dot, it stood a few meters away, holding something. Ilara froze Dot. It was a hologram, and inside it was her Dot, her Earth records, her old missions, her face, her name, Captain Ilara Quinn. Classified. Tracked. Kale single quotes, as face changed. They weren't just following my people. They were following your people too. A voice cracked through the air, not from the hunter, but from the sky. Captain Ilara, this is Earth Command. She stepped back, eyes wide. This is not a rescue. Kale stepped in front of her, protectively. We placed a tracker in your suit months ago, the voice continued. We knew you'd crash. We knew he'd find you. We need the child. Humanity needs it. Return to the drop zone. This is an order. Ilara couldn't breathe. Her own people had used her. She looked at Kale. He said nothing. He didn't need to. They had both been betrayed. She turned to the hunter still holding the hologram. Then raised her weapon again and shot it straight through the screen. No more commands. No more orders. She wasn't following anyone now. The canyon was quiet again, except for the wind. Kale placed his hand on her back. She didn't shake. It off this time. What now? He asked. She looked up at the burning sky. They want the child? He nodded. Then let them come, she said. Let them see what I've become. And for the first time, she meant it. The rain fell like ash. It wasn't water. It wasn't even liquid. Just fine gray dust, drifting down from the sky like a memory being erased. Ilara sat beneath the jagged edge of a collapsed tower, her cloak pulled tight, eyes half closed. Her mind wouldn't stop spinning. Not from fear, from fury. She had always believed in Earth Command, the missions, the rules, the silence she'd kept about everything she'd seen. She'd trusted them more than anyone. And now she knew they had sent her here like a package, a vessel. A test. Kale didn't speak. He crouched nearby, sharpening a blade slowly, watching the horizon for ships that might follow. She broke the silence first. How long did you know? He didn't look at her. Since the signal. Since I saw the tracker in your armor. You didn't say anything. You wouldn't have believed me. She almost said he was wrong, but he wasn't. Ilara reached into her bag and pulled out her old cum chip, half burned, still blinking. She pressed play. A voice, familiar, cold, spoke from the recording. This is command control. Subject Quinn is confirmed viable. Alien response probability, 93%. Pregnancy window, optimal. Do not interfere unless compromised. Retrieval will be executed upon signal flare. It felt like acid in her ears. Her own name, her own body. Treated. Like a file in a folder. Kale's voice was soft behind her. They never planned to save you. Only to see if you could survive. She stared at the ground. I did survive, she said. Yes, he answered. But they didn't expect you to bond. Ilara stood, slowly, not angry now, clear. If they come again, they're not getting me, or the child. Kale rose beside her. Then we'll have to move. They crossed the broken plains under a sky full of shattered moons. Lightning stitched the clouds together in silence. Below them, old machines blinked, abandoned drones from a war no one remembered. But the machines weren't dead. They were watching. Tracking. Waiting. As they walked. Ilara felt it again, the hum in her skin, the rhythm inside her body that wasn't just hers anymore. She could sense metal under the ground, feel heat from power cores, hear whispers in frequencies she never understood before. Kale noticed too. You're not just changing, he said. You're sinking. With what? Everything. She didn't speak. But her steps grew stronger. Later that night, they found shelter in an ancient ruin. It looked like a cathedral, but older, alien, overgrown, cracked open to the sky. Inside, Ilara stared at the carvings. They told a story, a woman, a warrior. A child in her arms. And behind her, chaos. What is this place? She asked. Kale ran a hand over the wall. A shrine to one who survived the merge. Long before my time, they said she fled both species. Built a new kind. Ilara looked at the figure. The woman's face had been scratched out long ago. She was erased, Ilara whispered. Kale nodded. Because she chose herself. Not the war, not the legacy, just freedom. Ilara stepped forward. Her hand brushed the old stone. Warmth pulsed beneath her skin, and something echoed through her, a second heartbeat. She gasped. Kale was beside her in an instant. What is it? She grabbed his arm, eyes wide. I heard them. Kale froze. Them? Not just one. She pressed his hand to her belly. Two. The silence was deafening. Kale's voice shook. Twins? She nodded slowly, almost afraid to believe it. Kale looked away, not with anger, but with something deeper. I thought only one could survive, he said. I thought the strain would tear you apart. It still might, she said. But not today. Kale turned back to her. I will protect all three of you, even if it kills me. Ilara held his gaze, not alone. They stood there, surrounded by a forgotten past, holding onto a future no one wanted to exist. And somewhere far above them, Earth Command received the scan. 2 heartbeats. Double the value. The voice of command rang out across the dark hall of their warship. Send the extraction team. This time, no more hunters. This time, they were coming themselves. And they weren't coming to ask. They were coming to own her. They came from the sky like gods. Not hunters, not drones. Not shadows, ships shaped like blades. Engines that didn't hum, they howled. The ground cracked under their arrival. The air bent around them. Energy rippled through the ruins where Ilara and Kale stood. Just as the first light of dawn touched the dead soil, she didn't run. Not this time. Her eyes were wide, calm. Her hands no longer trembled. Her skin no longer burned. The change was done. She was no longer only human. Kale stood beside her, armor lit with deep blue veins pulsing in sync with hers. Together, they faced the storm. A voice echoed through the ruins, mechanical, hollow. Captain Ilara Quinn, step forward. You are carrying classified genetic material belonging to Earth Command. Surrender now. Resistance will be met with full planetary cleansing. Kale's jaw tightened. They would burn this whole world, just to erase you. Ilara looked at the rising sun. Double quotes. No, just to own me. A second voice joined in. This one familiar, her old commander. Admiral Voss. You were never meant to bond with it, Ilara. This isn't about punishment. It's about correction. Let us help you. Let us control it before it becomes a threat. She laughed, bitter and clean. You don't want to help me. You want to harvest me. No one will hurt you, the Admiral's voice promised. If you cooperate. Kale stepped forward, shielding her. No more promises. Ilara placed a hand on his arm, and then she stepped past him, toward the landing zone. The wind tore at her cloak. The dust stung her eyes. But her feet were steady. She walked until she could see the soldiers, rows of them, human, heavily armed. Faces hidden behind black visors. She raised her voice, not loud, but it carried. You lied to me. You sent me to die. You used my body as bait. And now you want to erase your mistake. Silence answered her. So she gave them truth. I'm not a mistake. Her voice grew stronger. I'm the beginning. Energy flared behind her. Kale had activated the beacon, the one that fused human and alien tech. A pulse burst through the ground, cracking stones, scrambling scanners. Chaos erupted. Soldiers raised weapons. The ships began to lift, then lost power. Ilara's eyes burned. with light. I'm not yours anymore. She dropped her cloak. The glow across her body pulsed in sync with the two small heartbeats within her dot, and in that moment, not with guns, not with war, she made her stand. I won't let either species turn my children into weapons. One soldier stepped forward, hesitated. He looked at her, and lowered his weapon. Then, another. Then more. Admiral Voss shouted over Combs, "Stand down." That's an order. But they didn't move, because something was changing, not just Ilara, not just Kale, the war itself. Kale moved beside her. We make a run for the canyon. I set charges in the old ruins. We can bury the command ship. Ilara looked up at the sky. Not afraid, not angry, just certain. No, he blinked. No? She turned to him fully. We don't run, not anymore. We build. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Not human. Not alien. Something else. Something more. A new kind of strength. The beacon behind them pulsed again. A signal, not a weapon. A message across the stars. A warning. And an invitation. What came next wasn't war. It was choice. Not between Earth or Kale's people. Not between species. But something unheard of. In both worlds. Unity. Elare reached for Kale's hand. We choose. US, she said softly. And he nodded. For once. Neither side had power. Only two hearts beating. And two more on the way. The world didn't end. It just began again.